We were in graduate school at Syracuse University, and we read about this fantastic woman who had beavers in her house, Dorothy Richards. Well, it turns out in 1974 we came to the Mohawk Valley as professors at the local colleges. We found out that she was giving a talk. We went to her talk, and I told her that we read about her in Defenders of Wildlife, and she said, would you like to see my beavers? And I said, yeah. And so we jumped in our car, and she jumped in her Jeep, and over we went, and she had 12 beavers in her house. Well, that was the beginning of our love affair with beavers.
When we got to know Dorothy, she was already quite famous as the Beaver Woman. She'd been studying them for several decades, and she first became interested in 1935 when she read what was a bestseller at that time called Pilgrims of the Wild by Grail, the great naturalist from Canada. She then arranged to have beavers brought to the property that she and her husband Al owned. Al was a forestry graduate, and a friend of his was moving beavers for the State Wildlife Agency. So they brought beavers onto the Richards property, and Dorothy discovered they had transformed a tiny stream into a huge pond, and she became quite intrigued by the beavers. She began going over the hill every day to watch the beavers, learn more and more about them. After about 10 years of studying the beavers outside, she got a permit to have them brought into her house, and they had a addition to the living room built, which was called the Y because it had a concrete swimming pool, and it was adjacent to the living room, so the beavers could push open the Dutch door and come into the living room every day.
The place was pandemonium. She had Persian rugs on the floor. They were flying out to this place that they kept them in the Y. It was great.
And over more than 40 years, she had about 100,000 people come, because people would come in field trips from all over. People came from Europe and all over North America to see the beavers. She was also written up in national magazines. She was on the national networks. Her book, Beaver Sprite, was read around the world, and she became nationally known as an expert on beavers.